I'm Grace and I'm one half of Cloud and Fire. I'm going to be sharing something a little bit different today because I actually haven't been able to be as active on this platform in recent months, but after some time of reflection, I really believe that I can't stay silent anymore. So, on August 29, 2021, I suffered a complete mental breakdown. I always knew I had some form of anxiety from a young age, and it particularly grew heightened as I entered my teens. As of today, I'm 21, and since graduating, I quietly noticed a few physical signs aside from my anxiety attacks. I was always getting tired quicker than others around me. I'd wake up so much during the night, then have trouble falling back asleep. I'd wake up and just think so negatively towards the tasks that lay ahead of me, getting too angry too easily. And they were big signs now that I look back, but at the time they just seemed so small. But because I didn't know much about mental health and the internet could only provide so much knowledge, I kept my head down and believed I was doing the right thing by soldiering on in the face of my general anxiety. I guess I suffered in silence, sometimes without even realizing. And as I entered this phase of adulthood, I continued to search high and low for my purpose. And to my surprise, I was blessed with so many opportunities for me to discover what I believed was my purpose in life, to be a creative. Whether it was Cloud and Fire, worship leading my own creative team, spending time with my fellow creatives, starting up a creative business with my boyfriend, I genuinely loved every second because I believed that I was making God, my family, my friends, and myself proud. Through it all, these physical symptoms that I mentioned were getting worse, but there was such a stigma around me that I didn't speak up enough about what I was going through. And over time, without realizing again, I lost my true love for what I was doing, and I burned myself out trying to please everybody and get the wrong name out there. Until shortly after my 21st birthday, that one night in August, that changed everything. A combination of stressful months and events led me to go through this whole breakdown, and this breakdown consisted of agonizing panic attacks, sleepless nights, suicidal thoughts, self-harm. Almost everything you can think of, I either went through it, did it to myself, tried it, or considered it. This led to so many open conversations with my close family and friends who did their all to be there for me no matter what hour of the day it was. Some of these talks were really good to finally have, and some were really tough and would end in arguments or tears. And after finally opening up completely for the first time in 21 years, this would lead to endless doctor trips, ambulance rides to the hospital, attempts at wellness groups, medication changes, and so much more that I can't even remember anymore because it was so much of a whirlwind. Throughout this time, I lost my physical voice and I lost 13 kilos. And not only that, I felt like I lost who I was in the process. Now I'm going to say something that I wish many other people had been more open about through my own life. I got so mad at God. You know those stages of grief that people talk about? I didn't know if that was real or if it was meant just for when dealing with the death of a person. But I actually went through a lot of that trying to make sense of it all. Trying to hold on to hope in the fact that God had it all in control, even though I felt like I was losing control. After many weeks and months, I gave up almost completely, and although I always had the smallest voice telling me there was something more on the other side of this, I honestly couldn't even see the other side to begin with, so I got angrier and angrier every single day. I was literally living by the second, just trying to get through second by second, minute by minute, until I could at least fall asleep at night, when the chaos would hopefully stop, because at the time I wasn't dreaming about anything at all. It felt like hell, and I have no other words to describe what that felt like. I bargained with my God. I even pretended to accept on the surface that I was willing to go through this, but the more that I went through, the more I couldn't even pretend anymore. I'd openly say to my family and close circles that I was ready to give up on life. I'd hurt myself physically because I was so sure that I was a burden on my family and my friends, and they'd be better off without having to worry that I'd do something stupid to set off my anxiety again. Sorry. And I knew for sure that God had turned his back on me and didn't know what was best for me. I had gone through my whole life somewhat believing that God would actually spare me from something like this, because I was serving in my church wholeheartedly and doing what he had purposed me to do, which was to use my creative talents for his glory and for his people. But after going through many brushes with literal death and suicide, I lost hope in him, myself, and my purpose on this earth. Now there's so much more to this story that I wish I could add, but I'm just gonna skip a few months ahead just for now. So much happened in this sort of in-between period, both good and bad. And I'll just jump to a moment that, now that I think about it, everything kind of just clicked in me. There was a peaceful period where I was actually doing okay, and it was looking like I was on the mend. But then I had to go through yet another change to my medication dosage. I had finally been having open conversations about my own tendencies, and after asking even more open questions about eternity, I realized that I couldn't risk an unknown eternity. Nonetheless, this medication change had me crying for no reason and feeling suicidal all over again. Some of it was definitely just from the meds, but it was also because I felt like I couldn't see the end of all the pain. A few days earlier though, a family friend had sent me a worship song that I didn't see until Sunday, November 14, 2021. So I thought, there's nothing else to do or think or say that I haven't done already. I'm just gonna put this song on and I'm just gonna cry. This song was You're Gonna Be Okay by Bethel Music. It was the first time that, although I felt all of these overwhelming emotions, like right now, I realized it was just a phase, and it was okay to cry it out and just feel for a moment. Oh man. And some of my family and my boyfriend came home from church to me just crying. Eli, my boyfriend, just held me as I cried snot and everything into his shirt, and for the first time, I couldn't even remember how long, I just asked him to pray. And so he did. And nothing major happened. It wasn't a life-changing moment in and of itself, but I felt a calm and a peace. So I ate lunch. Or at least I tried to. And the next morning, the same thing happened again. I felt overwhelmed. I didn't want to live another day. So when my boyfriend was available to come and see me, he held me and he prayed. And then my brother Josh held me and he prayed. And I was okay. And from there, I realized I had more motivation to just hold on another day, another hour, minute, or even second. 2 days later, I had a gig that I was really aiming to be there for because it had been in my calendar for like a year, and it was for some of my favorite people. I was so disappointed that there was a big chance that I couldn't make it, but because I had been regaining some strength, I was very confused on what to do. So, on the morning of this gig, I talked with my family, and eventually I made the decision to pray with my boyfriend about it. And it was the first time I prayed out loud in so many months, and I begged God to give me a sign, any sign that I should do this gig or not. I hadn't been able to leave my house for anything but doctor's trips for about 3 to 4 months, so my body was physically too weak to push for anything of this sort. But I just felt so determined to go for some reason. I finished praying what was a very confusing prayer now that I think about it. And then Eli prayed. And as he prayed, I couldn't concentrate. I kept thinking in my head, kind of just talking to myself. I asked myself something like, what should I do about this situation that I'm in? And I heard myself just say to myself, go. And I thought, go. This other voice then just softly said in my head, yes. Again, it wasn't a huge life-altering moment in and of itself, but it was a prompting big enough for me to just take the step. And from there, everything changed, and this time, I believe it was for the better. I know I'm not out of the woods yet, and I don't know if I ever will be, because I always have so much to learn and so much to experience. But since that day, or days, I have just felt so genuinely happy, and my hope is on the way to being restored. Before all of this, I knew mental health was stigmatized because I was already living in it. But you actually do not even realize how stigmatized it is until your eyes have been opened to what you've missed out on for your whole life. For me, it was a matter of breaking the stigma of genuinely asking for help and starting medication. And if you've resonated with anything I've said, please help to raise awareness. I have missed out on 21 years of genuine happiness, and I don't blame anyone anymore for that. I pray that the fact that I caught onto it early, and I'm getting closer to what is the right medication dosage for me, that maybe I can learn how to control it with the right guidance and counsel from the right people. And most importantly, my God. And if you have a little bit of a prompting that maybe you should get just a little bit more help, just know that there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's okay to feel. Just as long as you're surrounding yourself with the right people who are calm, rational, and genuinely want what's best for you, you're going to be okay. I truly wish that I could explain everything in detail today, but maybe that's a story for some other time. Right now, I just thank God for every day He's given me, and every day He will. But feel free to reach out to me, my brother, and my own support system right here on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. However you found this, we will do our best to help. And then do your best to find the right support system who will guide you in Jesus' light. Please. I've been told by professionals that I have severe anxiety and depression with other mental health issue tendencies. Sometimes I still get really anxious about the future, or too happy that side effects like tics and twitches will come out. But with the help of professionals, I like to look at it as sometimes fun, sometimes bad superpowers. I probably sound like a child by saying that, but isn't that the beauty of it? I feel reborn. Everything in life is a process, and God just needs to balance us out sometimes, whether it's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. And I'm content with that fact, and with the fact that that's what life is until we see His wonderful face. So, where to from here? Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I do. It sounds quite vague, but if you've walked the walk, I'm sure you'll know. And I am so okay. I am so okay with just staying in my lane, trying to continue to seek God's face and learn what He has in store for me. I am just so grateful to be alive, sitting in front of you today. But most importantly, I am on fire for my God. Woo. Sorry. And when all is said and done, and I am finally home with my God, I hope that people can say that these things are true about my life. Before I go, I just want to share one more thing with you, and that's a snippet from my first day completely back in the house of God. The worship team had one of our Cloud and Fire songs in their set list, and I was taken by surprise so beautifully that I broke down crying on the front row. That was such a special moment for me to share with my home church. Thank you for listening, and I pray that this has been a blessing to you. To all those who prayed for me and continue to fight this battle with me, this is for you.
Oh, how far this desert extends, but Lord, how far you'd venture with me, just across this wide expanse, and pour out an oasis for me. Should I lose my way in the wilderness? Should the night sky shadow my steps? Still you'll lead me to the promised land, this promise I will not forget. Come on, we're gonna hold on. So I will hold on to this simple truth. You won't leave me here on my own. Come on, every step of this journey you're walking, and every step that I take, you hold my hand until the promised land. You hold my heart, you hold my heart, and you hold my hand. Oh, how long till this journey would end. I love you, Gracie. But Lord, how faithful you've escorted me through valleys, rivers, and here to this. This is your journey, Chris. You've been my hope and my shepherd, my friend. Should the giants loom or the land ahead, you're preparing a table for me. We follow him. So I will trace your voice through the valley of death, for your goodness will follow my lead. Come on, keep walking, church. So I will hold on to this simple truth. You won't leave me here on my own. Every step of the way, every step that I take, you hold my hand until the promised land. You hold my heart, you hold my heart, and you hold my hand. Come on, this is the promise of God. That you'll come running, you're running after me. You won't let go of your promises for me. I will hold on to the hand that's holding me. I will be strong. Come on, he's good. You've been so good to me. And every giant, come on, nothing stands against our God. Underneath your feet, you're restoring every broken piece of me. Some mighty river in the wilderness I see. You're preparing the promised land for me. So I will hold on. Come on, church. To this simple truth. You won't leave me here on my own. We're just gonna trust him. Every step that I take, you hold my hand until the promised land. Come on, we're gonna hold on. I will hold on to this simple truth. You won't leave me here on my own. Every step that I take, you hold my hand until the promised land. You hold my heart and you hold my hand. Every step that I take, you hold my hand until the promised land. You hold my heart and you hold my hand. You hold my heart till the promised land.